back to the Mets, episode 4, the first in-season episode of this podcast. Very excited to get started. Guys, the first weekend is in the books, the first series. They take 2 out of 3 from Pittsburgh. Kind of feels like they let this one go away here Sunday, but still a lot of positives from the weekend.
Yeah, I thought it was a win. In terms of the weekend as a whole. Obviously, like you said, you would have liked to take that third game on Sunday and complete the sweep. But I thought it was a good opening series for the Mets. I think that's going to be the goal. We could talk all we want about how every game matters, and I get it because after last year, when you only missed the playoffs by one game, every game does matter. You're not wrong for thinking that, but the goal needs to just be winning series. Get out to a good start, take care of business against a Pirates team that you're much better than, and that's exactly what they did this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we saw they came out strong out of the gates on Thursday and just looked great on the offensive side of the ball. And then, honestly, Saturday's game, I was kind of I felt like we stole that game away from the Pirates a little bit. Like we didn't really deserve to win that one. And then Sunday, it really just felt like that one just slipped away at the end there. There were some managerial decisions that could have gone either way.
Definitely want to talk about what Mendoza did at the end of this game, managing the bullpen. We'll get to that in a little bit. Some segments will debut throughout the show, which will be a mainstay as we go throughout this season in the middle of the year, and some others that we don't have today that we will bring in the rest of the way. But 100% Mendoza, didn't love what he did. We'll start, though, with stock up, stock down. Who are we feeling right now? Who impressed you the most, Nico, over this weekend, or who are you just feeling good about going forward?
I'm going to go with Francisco Alvarez. I loved what he saw from, what I saw from him the first weekend. Obviously, he hits the home run on Thursday. I know you don't want to look too much into the stats necessarily after just 3 games, but the average is up over 300. So, no mistakes behind the plate. Look very clean back there, trying to build chemistry with some new faces, especially Freddie Peralta, who we'll talk about later on, obviously. But I really liked what I saw from Alvarez because I want to see him take that next step. We've talked so much about the potential. Obviously, he hits the 25 home runs his rookie year, but we haven't seen him really get there, as an entirely great hitter overall so far in the major leagues. So I'm liking what I'm seeing so far from Alvy.
He's one of the 3 guys in this lineup that changes everything for them. He's one of the 3 guys where if he really starts to hit and comes into his own, like I think we all believe he can, that top prospect, that top catching prospect that he was, if he comes into his own and could be be hitting 5th or 6th in this lineup, they can compete with the Dodgers. I mean, that's not a crazy thing to say if they get production from him and a couple of other guys. So I agree. I'm excited. You look at the numbers from last year, too, carrying over to this year. I think they put it on the board at Citi Field yesterday. His last 43 games, which dates back to June of last year, by the way, because of the injuries, and he was sent down to AAA. His OPS is over 930. So there's a lot of positives from Alvarez.
And this was a guy that not only was he the number 1 prospect in the Mets system, he was the number 1 ranked prospect in all of baseball. So the expectations were and still are very high for Alvarez, and I want him to – I'm not saying the guy has to be Mike Piazza or even Cal Raleigh, what he did last year in Seattle, but be a reliable bat in the middle of that lineup. And I think, like you said, it makes the Mets that much more dangerous.
Scott, who's trending up for you?
Honestly, for me, it's Carson Benj. I mean, obviously, not an amazing series for him at the plate. Only got the 1 hit, which was the home run. But I feel like that home run is the first step in getting him offensive production. This is a guy that only spent 24 games in AAA last year. So it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve for him to, adjust to major league pitching. But I think this series was a great first step, especially with, still getting active on the base pass. He stole a base. So I think just getting used to this MLB pitching is going to be great for him.
His speed is certainly a weapon, not only obviously on the base paths, but defensively in right field. It's going to be a weapon. He was fine out there defensively, didn't cost them anything, and the arm is great. I thought he looked a little overmatched, though. I thought, and listen, it's the first series that you might say I'm hating this and that, and that's fine. I was super happy for him Thursday when he hit the tank. I just thought he looked a little overmatched.
Especially when they were throwing the fastball too. I didn't love that. His home run came off an off-speed pitch too, so we haven't really seen him connect on a good fastball yet. but I think it's way too early to be worried about that. He's looked fine defensively in right field. Like Scott said, he got the stolen base under his belt. He got the home run under his belt. So we've seen enough flashes in a 3-game span to say, okay, the talent's in there. We just got to give him time, and he'll blossom into a good player.
You guys are confident. You guys are all in on Benj here.
Yeah.
I want to be. I want to be all in on this kid. I want him to be a difference maker, but I just can't see it happening early. That's my issue. That's my issue.
I love the swagger, everything about him, even the walk-up song, Run This Town, little Jay-Z coming up to the plate for your first at-bat. He's got it, man. He's got all he needs inside. He's just got to figure out a way to get it all out, and I think he will. I mean, like we keep saying, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it was only 3 games, so can't look too deep into the numbers just yet.
That goes back to your point, Merlo, where you're talking about Alvarez figuring out his offensive production in the bottom of the lineup. If Benj figures it out, I mean, look at the depth in all 9 batters of this lineup. It's incredible.
Well, I think they have it now. Like, you're sitting there 1 through 9, even today or just Saturday. It's like these are not easy outs. These are major league hitters, guys that can play. And if they reach their potential, it's holy crap, this is a great lineup. So I agree. And if he does figure it out at the bottom, it's just another weapon for them, 100%. How about his relationship with Soto? I actually love it. I love like the little friendship they got going on. They had a handshake before they walked out. And it's really cool to see.
My least favorite thing about this team is people trying to, and we do it ourselves too, is trying to wonder what's going on in that clubhouse behind closed doors. I feel like this shouldn't be this difficult. Like when they did the opening day lineup and everyone was giving each other hugs, Lindor and Soto only like high five, didn't really give a hug, and everyone was like, oh my God, see, they hate each other. Look at this. Can we stop? Like, enough. Because then it gets into my head where, like, yesterday, the series finale, Soto hits the double in the gap, Lindor gets thrown out at home, and my first thought was like, great, now Soto's going to be pissed at Lindor for getting thrown out at home and ruining his moment to, tie the game with a big double there. Enough. Just let these guys be guys. We have no idea what's going on back there. So it was nice to see Soto and Benj, having fun in the dugout.
That actually wasn't my thought, but now that's in my head in terms of like Lindor getting thrown out. So that's really interesting. But I don't know. I don't think they love each other. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think there's jealousy. I think there's a power struggle. I really do. But I don't think it's anything that will affect the team. I think they can play together. I think they can play nice together. But I don't think they're the best of friends, and that doesn't necessarily matter as long as they can get along and play.
I think their personalities just don't mesh with each other. Lindor's a very loud personality on the field, and Soto's more of the guy that just puts his head down and gets the work done. And I just don't think those personalities mesh very well. But as you said, Merlo, I think they can work well together in like a professional environment every game.
It's certainly something. But I have seen that, and it did piss me off too. It's opening day. You just won 11-5, and the next day, Friday, I'm getting text messages. I'm seeing it on Twitter. Like, what's going on? But either way, my stock up is somebody, and it may seem like an obvious pick, and that's fine. My stock up's Luis Robert. I had no belief in this guy. Listen, did I think that he was going to be an upgrade over Tyrone Taylor? Yes, because even if he gave you what he did in 2025 with Chicago, still a better offensive player and stole more bags. Now you add the defense, which is similar to Taylor, a little worse. But now he looks like a more refined player, not chasing pitches out of the strike zone as much, moving guys over, not swinging for the fences. Thought he had an unbelievable series. He was even good Sunday in the loss. So I am so excited now. Like I have this like belief in Luis Robert. Not that he's going to return to 2023 Luis Robert, but that he's going to be a very productive player in this lineup.
I mean, it's very easy to be better than what he was the last 2 years in Chicago. I mean, the sub 700 OPS was just not going to fly here. But I got to admit, I was a little annoyed that he was batting 5th at first when Mendoza released the lineup.
I was too, by the way.
On Thursday, because I actually thought that it was going to be Alvarez who should be 5. Instead, they had Alvarez 9th, and I was like, that's a really weird way to construct the lineup. And it honestly has been working. So I'm not going to question it. He's been outstanding. I mean, obviously the big home run on Saturday, that was an awesome moment for him, a big way to, welcome yourself to New York. I'm hoping that Bo Bichette gets one of those moments pretty soon because hasn't been going so well for him. We'll talk about that later on. But yeah, big weekend for Robert. I want to see it continue, especially if he's going to be batting fifth because we talk so much about the top three with Lindor, Soto, Bichette, even Polanco in the 4-hole. If they're going to have a deep and, productive lineup, Robert's a big piece of that in the 5-hole.
100%. I'll start us off with stock down. My stock down of the week is Bo Bichette, and it's easy and it's obvious. And I do have to say, I loved his answer to the question of, what do you think about getting booed this early? And he said, surprise didn't happen sooner. Yeah, Bo, you're right. It should have happened sooner. These at-bats have been terrible. Defensively, obviously having struggles throwing the ball to first base from third. He's never had the strongest arm in the league. That's going to be an issue the rest of the way. But offensively, striking out way too much, not moving guys over. Supposed to be great with runners in scoring position the last 2 nights. Did not bring guys home. I'm not concerned about Bo Bichette. He's going to hit. But it's in the back of your mind that he's had some pretty bad seasons in the middle of a couple of great ones. So Bichette's my stock down this week.
It was ugly. I won't lie to you, but you can't possibly tell me that you think it's okay for the fans to boo him already.
I'm pro booing.
Like if you were there on Sunday, you're booing him.
I booed him Saturday.
Oh my God, stop.
I booed him Saturday when he struck out with the bases loaded. Yeah.
I couldn't disagree with that more.
I am pro booing.
For 2 bad games? What if this was 2 bad games in the middle of July?
He's getting booed. 2 bad games where, by the way, I mean, we were all there. We were all there Saturday, okay? We saw the pitches he swung at Saturday, bottom of the 10th, bases loaded, right? We all remember what it was. There were 2 balls completely in the dirt, and then he strikes out on the fastball. I'm not mistaken, correct? It was the 2 balls in the dirt,
yeah,
the in the dirt.
But I mean, I think you got to cut the guy some slack. I mean, don't get me wrong. Toronto's not necessarily a small market because I guess you could say that you have a whole country rooting for you. But Toronto's not a baseball town. They follow the Leafs more, so I don't think there's that much pressure on him as a Blue Jay compared to the Mets. You got to give him time to adjust. I mean, he's coming over here taking Pete Alonso's batting, spot in the batting order. That's a guy that just had over 100 RBIs and hit 40 home runs year after year. I think it's a lot of pressure on a guy who's, especially technically on a contract year because he could easily opt out and is going to be looking for a big payday.
Bichette's not coming from Cincinnati, though. I mean, let's not act like he's not. He's coming from a big market.
Right.
I do agree with Nico. It is a lot of pressure on him, and it's not. I don't think it's because he's coming from Toronto, which is like smaller market. I think it's just he's trying to have his introductory moment to the fans. It's first homestand, trying to have his big moment. He saw Luis Robert do it on Saturday, maybe even Sunday. That's in the back of his head, taking bigger swings than he needs to. He's just trying to do too much, and I think he's got to simplify it a little bit. And maybe the road trip will help him with that.
He had a lot of bad moments. He had a lot of bad strikeouts. He had at the very least, 3 bad throws to first. Polanco bailed him out on a couple. We can add a couple of more to that. I mean, this is a guy that is a terrible defender. Terrible defender. You look at advanced stats at shortstop. Third base, not as difficult, but still difficult. The arm has never been there. Now he's out there. I give him credit. He's out there before the game Sunday. He's taking it, he's taking extra ground balls, making the throws. Defensively, I'm worried. Offensively, not worried. But the boos were deserved.
I'm still open-minded on Vientos, and I know people think I'm crazy for that because he had a horrible spring. Did have a big hit on Saturday, though. He's 1 for 1 on the season. But I don't love the idea because I see people saying that Beatty should play third and then Bichette goes to DH. I don't love that yet because then if Bichette's going to be the everyday designated hitter, now you really have no use for Vientos. And I'm not ready to give up on him yet. So I'm willing to let it play out for a little bit. Listen, if we get 3 weeks into the season and the guy's making, error after error and he leads the league, horrible defensively, then all right, make the switch and let's move on. But I think this early in the year, we got to let it play out a little bit and see how he does.
I agree. I agree. I'm not giving up on it. No doubt. I'm not giving up on it. But I think like the first weekend of the year, like this was one of your main concerns coming into the season, and it showed up. Nico, your stock down.
I'm going to go with Freddie Peralta. I didn't love what I saw on Thursday because that Pirates lineup is not that great, and he was, getting hit hard. I mean, obviously Brandon Lau hits the 2 home runs, and he was hot all weekend, hit another one on Sunday, of course. So I guess just tip your cap to that, but there was a moment in this game where the Mets they score the 5 runs in the bottom of the first, and when that happens, you're like, oh my God, Paul Skenes is out of the game in the first inning. There's no way the Mets lose this game now because the Pirates have to use their bullpen for the next 8 innings. And there was a point, like the 4th or 5th inning, where the Pirates had the tying run at the plate after Henry Davis hits an RBI double. I think it was 5-3 at that point, and the tying runs at the plate, and I'm like, is Freddie Peralta gonna mess this up and we're going to end up in a 5-5 game? He gets out of it. Great job by him to do that, but it just didn't seem like overpowering, dominant ace type stuff from him against a Pirates team that's not good. Like if he's struggling against the Pirates, what is he going to look like when he goes up against teams like the Dodgers and Phillies? Those guys have loaded lineups. So I didn't love what I saw. I'm not going to, kill him too hard because it's his first start. It's the same thing that we were talking about with Bichette. I have to be consistent with it. If I'm going to give Bichette the benefit of the doubt of playing in New York for the first time, I have to do the same thing with Peralta. Just didn't love what I saw on Thursday.
I think Peralta, like the home run, the first homer to Lau, I think it carried. I'm not going to get on him for that. The second homer was a bomb. I mean, he crushed that thing. I'm not getting on him much for that first one. And I thought the stuff was good. He certainly missed a couple of pitches. There were a few hard hits. He gave up a lot of hits. I didn't walk away from that start discouraged from him. I feel good about what he's going to be the rest of the year. And obviously this is over. Like we're all overreacting in these scenarios, but I feel really good still about Peralta. I'll push back on something with you. You said didn't feel like that true ace guy. I don't know if he is. I think in this rotation he is, and most likely has to be. But I don't know if I would consider Freddie Peralta like that true ace. Is he a low-end 1? Is he a high-end 2? Yeah, I would say that. But I don't think he's this true ace where you trust him in a game. I don't want to say that because I do kind of trust him in a game 7, but you know what I mean. Guy that you trust to take the ball every 5th day is going to give you 6 or 7 innings. That's how I feel about Nace. I don't think he can do that.
But isn't that what this franchise has been built on when it comes to winning championships? Like 1969, it's Tom Seaver. 1986, it's Doc Gooden. 2015, I guess you could, Syndergaard was awesome that year. Harvey was awesome, but DeGrom ended up being the guy that got them there because his Game 5 performance against the Dodgers in the NLCS. Still one of my favorite pitching performances of all time. Not to get on a tangent about that. The way he gives up 2 runs in the first inning and then completely shuts the door the rest of the way.
I just recently watched that game, by the way.
Oh my God, I love it.
We'll talk about it at the end.
Right. But I don't view Freddie Peralta on that same level. And I think that's what the Mets need. Hopefully, we've talked before. Hopefully Nolan McLean can become that guy. But if they're missing that true legit ace at the top of the rotation, that's going to be an issue come playoff time because I think that's what happened in 2024. Sean Manaea was the ace of that rotation, and look what happened when they went up against the Dodgers. They were getting blown out in half their losses. I mean, they were giving up 10 runs a game almost in that whole series, it felt like.
Well, that's what I think. I think it'll be McLean. I think Nolan McLean is the one that takes those reins by the end of the year. I mean, if God says, yes, they're playing in a World Series game, and everything lines up, I think by the end of the year, we're going to be sitting here talking about Nolan McLean making that first start in the World Series. Scott, your stock down.
I'm going to go with Marcus Semien. We really he got 2 hits over the weekend. One of them was a line drive right back at the pitcher that he wasn't able to handle, and then the other one was the fly ball to O'Neal Cruz that he dropped. That, I mean, okay, but like I don't know. Offensively, I'm not seeing enough production from him. He's got 2 RBIs. One of them was a sac fly, but I don't know. I'm just not seeing enough offensive production from him.
I love Marcus Semien because they put a nice stat up on Sunday, actually, about, I don't know if you guys saw this, the percentage of times he drives in a guy from third base with less than 2 outs. And it's like 68 or 70%, something like that. And I love that. I love that stat because that's a professional hitter at the bottom of the lineup now in this scenario doing what he's supposed to do. And he didn't in that scenario today on Sunday. He did not bring the guy in. But I'm pumped about Semien. I don't know why. I think I have a soft spot for him.
I mean, I agree with what Scott's saying. One of your 2 hits or a lucky hit where the guy drops a pop-up. I don't know how much you look into the numbers necessarily, but I thought he hit the ball hard. He also had a couple of unlucky, swings where he hit a couple of times, lined the ball hard into the outfield, and it just happened to be right at an outfielder. So I think you can go both ways with that. I'm not going to be too hard on him. The defense has been fantastic. Hasn't had to make, any stellar plays, but it's just very steady. It's like, when a ball gets hit towards the middle of the infield on the second base side, it's like, Semien's got it, no worries. Where we were dealing with guys last year, like, McNeil is okay, but wasn't that great. So I love having the defensive, expertise in terms of the middle infield locked up.
Defensively, it's going to be great. I don't think we have any worry about that. Marcus Semien, a professional baseball player. Let's move here to Mendoza. I thought this Sunday, and he's getting a lot of heat for it, and I think rightfully so. Sunday's performance from Mendoza was really bad because you were essentially punting game 3 away. When you say we're going to go to Richard Lovelady and he's going to get the 10th, you're punting this game away. This is the last guy on your roster. He does not make the team if it's not for a couple of injuries. Why the hell is Brooks Raley, who threw 11 pitches on Saturday, not available in this game? Williams, fine. You want to tell me Williams threw 20 pitches Saturday and they were high leverage? I'm fine with that. Raley not being available on Sunday is an absolute joke.
But why couldn't he just do the same thing he did Saturday when referring to Lovelady? He comes in, pitches the 11th, gives up the ghost runner run, fine, but then limits the damage there. And he almost did it again on Sunday because they score the first run in the top of the 10th to go up 3-2. And then there's 2 out, nobody on after he gets the double play. And you're thinking, all right, go into the bottom of the 10th, 3-2. It's the same thing you just did on Saturday. You could easily get that run back and possibly even win it. I thought it was fine, the way Mendoza handled it. It's just once you get those, that 2 out, nobody on situation, you can't let a second run that inning come in to score. I just think he handled it the same way he handled it Saturday, and it worked Saturday. So how are you going to kill him now for going with the same route?
But Lovelady shouldn't have even given up that run. I mean, that was a lucky hit down the line from Reynolds on Saturday. I mean, Lovelady essentially escapes that jam. This one, like you said, he gives up the single early that the run scores. When he gets to you have 2 on, you have nobody on, 2 outs. The second he walks that batter, you have to have somebody ready to go. That's it. He's done enough. He pitched yesterday. He pitched on Saturday. So he's on back-to-back. He's your worst relief pitcher. You're down 1 run. You're essentially tied. You have to be thinking of it like that if you're Mendoza. I got to go get another guy in this game because Lovelady cannot finish it with 2 guys on, 2 outs.
But they used all of the high leverage guys on Saturday. So I think if you're going to have someone pitch back-to-back days, you'd rather it be your worst pitcher. Because even when he walks the first guy, you're still thinking to yourself, he can get out of this like he just did on Saturday. Like it wasn't impossible for him to get 1 more out and keep the game 3-2, especially knowing that they don't have any off days coming up. They play all 7 days this week. So to not have your better relievers be used on back-to-back days this early in the season, I was fine with leaving Lovelady, and it's unfortunate that he didn't get it done. But I think it's tough to blame Mendy when he just did the same thing Saturday and they won, so nobody said anything. And now that they lost, it's like, oh, blame Mendoza for how the bullpen was used.
But I was getting ready to kill Mendoza yesterday too. So on Saturday too, I got to stop saying that. Saturday, I was getting ready to kill him on Saturday because you're punting these games early. And again, I'm not asking him to go to Devin Williams. I'm not. You don't have to go to Devin Williams. I understand you're playing 7, what is it? 9 days in a row right now. You're in the middle of a 9-day in a row stretch. That's fine. Don't go to your close. Go to Raley. Go to Brooks Raley. I mean, I know he's good. I know he was really good Saturday. We could go to Brooks Raley in that spot.
I think they were fine where they were because they also had the top of the order coming up. So like the mindset there is if you just keep it 3-2, any one of the 3 guys coming to the plate could hit a 2-run homer and win the game. Whether it was Lindor who draws the walk, Soto hits the double, and then you have Bichette coming up behind him. Any of those guys could have easily won the game, or at the worst tie the game if they do go down 4-2, which is what happened. So I don't think he was like desperate to bring in a new reliever because he was like, all right, even if they score a 4th run, we could still tie the game easily.
But that's my problem. We can't be thinking like that because it's not like you went like if you're in this spot, right? Like the same exact scenario you just went through, but it is Brooks Raley. It's your high leverage lefty right now. Fine, I get it. Let him try and get out of the inning. We're down to the last guy in the bullpen. It's the last guy in the pen. There's no doubt about it. So that's my problem. That's my problem.
He's also only going to be here until Minter comes back, right? That's why Lovelady is on this team. So might as well use him as much as you can now. So what if he throws his arm out? I mean, obviously you're not going to try to have your own players get injured. Sorry to Richard Lovelady, but if the guy gets hurt in a month when Minter's back, are we really going to care that much? Like,
you think he's on the team this week?
I don't know when Minter's coming back, but as soon as he does, I think Lovelady's immediately gone.
I think they might make the switch sooner. Not to Minter, but I think he might be done.
DFA Lovelady for the 6th time?
Yeah, I think he might be DFA. Let's get Kimbrel up here. How do you look at AAA this weekend? No, in all seriousness, that bothered me because Nico, it felt like he was punting the game. That's why. It felt like going to Lovelady in that spot was punting the game.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like, Mendoza felt like he was testing me in that bottom of the 9th because he pinch hit for Luis Torrens with Jared Young, and then the SNY broadcast cuts to Richard Lovelady in the bullpen, and I was like, what are we doing right now? You have Jared Young pinch hitting and Richard Lovelady in the bullpen. Like, do you want to win this game? It was just very frustrating to watch that towards the end of the game. It felt like he was throwing it away.
I actually liked the Jared Young pinch hit.
I felt like he could have gone to Alvarez so much easier.
I have the lefty-righty matchup. I like that. Young has some pop. I was fine with pinch hitting Jared Young in that spot. And plus, if he got on base, you want to compare it to Alvarez, got better speed than Alvarez and Torrens. So I was okay with Jared Young in that spot. I was not okay with Mr. Lovelady. But I digress. The MVP of the weekend, Scott, start us off.
It's easily Luis Robert. I mean, just like besides the walk-off home run from Saturday, I feel like this at-bat gets so overlooked, but that first at-bat in a Mets uniform for him against Paul Skenes, just working the count, 5 foul balls, 10-pitch at-bat, that was a big reason Skenes was taken out in the first inning. So I think just the little things that he did this weekend were just incredible. And if he keeps these at-bats going for the rest of the year, it's going to be amazing to watch.
Yeah, I loved Robert. I was pumped. Again, for somebody with no expectation, I was pretty excited about him.
Yeah, I had Robert too as my MVP of the weekend. I think, like Scott said, he nailed it. Not only was he, hitting the big home run in a clutch spot, but it was also the little things. That walk, like he mentioned on Thursday, made a nice diving catch in the outfield, so the defense looks stellar, because that was a big thing too. If you're going to replace Tyrone Taylor, you have to get a guy that's just as good defensively too, because you talked so much about run prevention all off season long. You can't go get a guy that can't play defense in center field. So I loved what I saw defensively and at the plate. Good first weekend for Robert. Got to see more though to keep it going. We got a long way to go.
Yeah, Robert was the MVP. I'll give a different kind of MVP. How about the ABS system? How about the automated balls and strikes? I got to say, I loved it. I was a little skeptical coming in. I was ready for it. I didn't know how it would go. I love it. And I think the fans love it. I think the reaction, we were all there this weekend. I think the reactions are great. It's obviously really quick. I think the fans in the stadium are into it, and it holds the umpires accountable, which I think is a big thing. And we saw it across the league this week. CB Buckner had a terrible Saturday night in Cincinnati with the Red Sox game there. So I really like the automated balls and strikes. And the one thing that's great about it is you have to be strategic with it. I mean, O'Neal Cruz uses his in the 5th or the 6th inning on Sunday, and that in the 5th inning, and he loses the challenge. Now they have one left, and McLean threw a bunch of pitches that were called strikes that weren't, and those Pirates did not use them because they only have one left and don't want to be the one to get rid of it. So I really like the different ways this is going to affect baseball games.
Yeah, I thought it was quick too. That's the biggest thing, because in football and hockey and even basketball too, when they're like doing these long reviews, it's such a drag. It's like, please just hurry up and make a decision. So I love that it's, quick. You see it on the Jumbotron. That's it. We move on. But I don't even know myself. Like, I was thinking about this all weekend, watching not even the Mets, just every game. What is the correct strategy in terms of when you challenge and when you don't? Like, are you waiting until there's, 2 strikes in the at-bat where it's like if you get called out on a 3rd strike, you'd use it? But, like, if there's a 1-1 pitch that's borderline, I think that's a great time to use it because the count being 1-2 compared to 2-1 changes the whole at-bat. So I don't know myself. It's very interesting to see teams use it in different ways. I watched the Cleveland Seattle game. I think it was Saturday night. And back-to-back Guardian hitters used it and were wrong both times. And this was in like the 7th inning. So it was like, oh, well, that's it. Now you got to go to the rest of the game without it. It's interesting to see different teams use the strategic way of challenging in different ways.
It's got to be obvious. You got to know the zone, and it's got to be obvious. I think the first time you use it, I think it really gets tough when you lose that first one, and then you're in a situation like the Pirates were on Sunday where there were 3 after Cruz used it where it was off the plate and they didn't tap their head. And one of them ended up being a strikeout. So it's going to get interesting. But that would be my MVP of the weekend.
I noticed too a lot, and it was really Soto that was doing this the most, where like a pitch gets called a strike where he doesn't think so, and he like reacts and is like frustrated that he called it a strike, but he won't use the challenge. So I found that interesting too. It's like you're annoyed that he called that a strike. You don't agree with the call, so why not tap your helmet? It's like they're hesitant. Some guys are hesitant to do it.
It's probably obvious. I noticed that before on Sunday as well, where it was a close pitch. It was a great pitch on Soto, and he was frustrated. And maybe it's just him being frustrated, like, wow, I can't believe he made that pitch. Because Soto, we know, has one of the best, he knows the strike zone better than any hitter in the game. So there's a chance he knew it caught the corner, and he's like, I can't challenge this because it's probably a strike, but damn, he made a great pitch on me. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, let's move to did everybody give their MVPs? Yes, we all had our MVPs. Let's move on here. We're going to just get to some notes, things that we saw over the weekend. Actually, Skenes for Nico in the building. What was that like? Knocked Skenes out early. The video of him walking off the mound, SNY Mets posted this, walking off the mound to great cheers and a nice standing ovation. What was that moment like opening day?
I was going to say the best part is when they take him out of the game and he's just slowly walking off the mound. You're almost stunned, right? It's like you're cheering and you're going crazy, but as just a baseball fan in general, this is one of the best pitchers in the game walking off the mound in the first inning on opening day. And it's just like, wow, I can't believe this happened. Now, I do think that it wasn't necessarily all his fault, because if O'Neal Cruz doesn't make those 2 horrible plays, it's probably a 2-2 game going into the second, right? Because Beatty hits the fly ball with the bases loaded. If Cruz catches that, sac fly, run scores to tie the game, and then the next batter is Semien hitting the pop-up. If he catches that, inning over, and we go to the second 2-2. So the first thing that's popping in my head Thursday is like, this guy needs to get off the Pirates immediately, because this is horrible. How do you deal with this for an entire 162? I mean, I don't blame the guy for wanting out at all, but yeah, just surreal moment seeing the Mets fans just go crazy as one of the best in the game gets yanked very early.
I had a few people send me the video of Skenes walking in. Kevin was actually one of them. And it's Skenes walking into the stadium in a suit. And Kevin writes, hey, at least there's 161 of these. You know, like, you can lose today. And I sent back, like, damn, like, yeah, he looks ready to go. You know, something like that. You know, it's all right, you lose today. I was shocked. That they had somebody warming up as early as they did. That because NBC
you have to though.
NBC cuts the bullpen with the bases loaded though. And I was like, what? He's at 20-something pitches. It wasn't after the 3-run triple. It was before the triple. I was like, they got somebody warming up. I think it was before the triple.
Well, right before the triple is the Robert Long at bat where he draws the walk to look, you know, get the bases loaded. So at that moment, you're thinking like, oh my God, if Beatty comes up here and hits, wasn't thinking triple, but a ball in the gap and scores 3 runs. What do you do about Skenes? Do you leave him in and let him throw almost 40 pitches? It's a dangerous game you're playing, especially on opening day.
They were also on him. They were on him. Like, his fastball didn't look like it had much life. I mean, it was touching 98, 99. Didn't look like it had much life. They were on him.
Just going back to like the expectations part of it, what you were talking about, Merlo, like we go down 2-0 in the top of the first, and I'm like, all right, well, like, you know, we could work with it. And then NBC cuts to Paul Skenes, and I was like, never mind. And then bottom of the first, I'm going crazy. I'm like, oh, wow, this is like, wow, we're hitting him well. And then the rest is history.
Well, when they got one, I said, all right, that's good because you're going to have to keep chipping away. I'm thinking maybe it's going to be a 4-2, 4-3 game late. They're up. Just keep chipping away, take good at-bats, get them out of the game by the 6th, and hopefully hit their bullpen. I had the same thought as you. Down 2-0. You're going to lose this game. Incredible. That was incredible. It was the most shocking thing I had seen all day. Let's get to this. We're the 3 of us. We go to games. We're at games. If you saw our new Twitter account, saw the Instagram accounts, we are at these games. We posted that all over. I thought the stadium looked great. Was there anything new at the stadium that you guys enjoyed from this weekend?
Not really. I mean, I saw people on Twitter talking about the the whole urinal thing in the bathroom where they put the dividers up. What do you mean that's big? Who cares?
You don't get stage fright? I get stage fright.
No.
I do too. I agree with you, Merlo.
I get stage fright. I need those dividers. Oh my God.
Who the hell cares?
I thought it was a huge deal.
I'm pumped. Pissing at MetLife is like is I mean, it's a nightmare for me. I mean, I really got to go if I'm going to the game at MetLife.
I couldn't be bothered. You're supposed to be in and out quick. Like you try to go in between innings. It's actually one of my least favorite parts about opening day is like I usually have it timed out where like I know as soon as an inning ends, it's usually after the Mets hit because I like to be in my seat when the Mets hit. You never want to miss a home run. So it's always when they're pitching. And I always just know to like go as soon as the inning ends and then you may be missing out or two. The lines on opening day are so long that you end up missing a whole half inning plus sometimes. But it's supposed to be quick. You're in, go quick, wash your hands, out, back to the seats. Like what? I'm not paying attention to the decor in the bathroom. Who cares?
It's not quick if you got stage fright like Scott and I, and now you're sitting there like, all right, let's go.
The dividers make it quicker, arguably make it quicker.
Thinking of waterfalls. That's me when there's no divider. So this is big. This is
all right. I mean, quicker. I guess so. Sure.
I like the this is like really nerdy, but I like the new score, like the way the scoreboard layout is a little better. The walk-up songs are on there now, which I like. The exit velocity is on the main screen now.
They fixed it on Saturday, but Thursday they did not have the speed and what pitch type it was on any of the scoreboards besides where they have in the left field area, like the strikeout counter.
The case.
It was there. One of my buddies was sitting up in, I think it was 518 maybe or 523, and on the third baseline couldn't see down the left field line where that was. So there was probably a lot of people frustrated about that on Thursday, but then when we were there Saturday, I noticed they fixed it. So
I I heard about this actually. My
Yeah.
my buddy's dad was mentioning it to me and my friend, and we were like, no way they didn't have that. But all right, you're somebody to confirm it now. Okay,
I
interesting.
can confirm that it was only in one spot.
Because they also have it on the smaller scoreboard in right field.
Right. Yeah.
It's also like where the pitch count is, strikes, balls.
Right.
And I'm assuming it wasn't there either on Thursday. That's interesting.
Yeah, it was not.
I'm trying to think of anything I saw. I actually didn't even walk around the stadium. I will say that team store, I bought a hat. I bought this hat. That team store is unbelievable. I mean, it is expensive as all hell. But they got some really nice stuff in that team store.
There's a lot in there.
If I had money, oh my God, I'd be in there almost every game buying something. As long as I had my size. But
you can get lost in there for sure.
Oh my God, it's getting lost in there. I mean, there's 2.5 hours before the game to get this freaking ring. But it was great. All right, let's move on here. Enough about the stadium. I mean, what the hell? We kind of talked about Freddie. Let's talk a little bit about Peterson here. Thought he was okay. I thought it was like your typical Peterson start Saturday. He was flying through, and then he'd have a couple innings where he walked somebody, and now there's traffic, but he just always got out of it and threw a little too many pitches towards the end, and now he's out of the game in the fifth, after the fifth.
I think that's exactly what they need from David Peterson, though. That was a perfect way for him to start his season. I think the reason that he was the 2 is that maybe to get him as a lefty in there, like you don't go Peralta, McLean back to back with 2 righties. You go righty, lefty, righty in the rotation. Otherwise, I don't see why McLean wouldn't have pitched Saturday. So I'm not saying that Peterson has to be the number 2 guy in this rotation, obviously, but if he could be a solid 3, that's exactly what the Mets need, and I thought he did just that.
I think he's a 3. I think if you get something in the middle of the first half of the season and the second half of the season in 25, that's a 3 starter, right? Not as great as he was, but not as bad as he was.
Yeah, he's not going to, pitch a shutout every start, but 5 1/3, maybe get through 6 once in a while. Quality start. That's what it is. 6 innings, less than 3 runs. If he only goes 5 1/3, 5 2/3 like he did on Saturday, that's fine. Just don't, explode like he did last year, that one game in Chicago the last week of the season.
He'll be fine.
I kind of wish he could have gone a little deeper because a lot of our bullpen was used on Saturday. And obviously it did go to extra innings, but just a little bit deeper. I feel like not relying so much on the bullpen. We used 6 of our 7 relievers. And the only reason we didn't use Tobias Myers because he threw 40 on Thursday. So I don't know. I feel like a little bit deeper from him would be just great going forward.
Myers saved him Thursday in a big way because the only other person you used was Garcia. So he did save them Thursday. I'm okay. Yeah, Peterson, you have to go deeper into that game with the way it was moving. But yes, I'm not like – I was very excited to see what he looked like because he finished the year so poorly. So I think like all of these starts early are going to be big tests. I think eyes are on him because he's kind of like that bridge to the back end of this rotation, which could be good if Sanga's healthy and Clay Holmes does what he did last year. This is going to be the difference between a really good rotation and a poor rotation.
And I don't mean to change the subject quick, but just because you mentioned his name, I wanted to say this. Get Luis Garcia off this team tomorrow. That guy's horrible. Horrible. But the fact that they had to get Devin Williams warming up on Thursday in the 9th inning when you come in with a 6-run lead, horrible. That's who I'd get rid of instead of Lovelady if you're going to bring Kimbrel up.
He's perfect for what his role is. He's a journeyman reliever. He'll probably be gone by July. I'm fine with Luis Garcia right now.
I would have been so mad if Williams had to come in on Thursday. He's so lucky that he got out of that.
He didn't. He figured it out. That's what major leaguers do. We get out of those. But yeah, McLean Sunday, the walks kind of an issue. Gave up the home run to Lau. Not like concerned because he ended up, 8 strikeouts, getting through 5. It was nasty. But
he was pumped after that last strikeout too, right? I was surprised to see that from him.
It's a great pitch. Do you have any concern? Like, Are we too excited about him?
I think you more than me, but
Okay.
I don't think there's any reason for concern. He doesn't have to be, 7 innings, 12 strikeouts. Like I blame myself too when I was talking about Peralta earlier. I've become so spoiled with what a ace, a true ace is like, because we watched Jacob deGrom for all those years be a Cy Young winner. Probably would have been 3 times out of 4 years if he doesn't get hurt in 2021. So we expect the ace to always be the guy that's going to be, 8 innings, no runs, 15 strikeouts. It doesn't have to be that just yet. Just keep them in the game like he did today. Because when they go down early, you're thinking, or at least I was, just do the same thing they did, on Saturday. Stay in the game, and someone will come through with a big hit. And technically, they did. That was Soto. If they don't send Lindor home, which we'll talk about, got issues with the third base coach. They probably tie that game, because then Polanco hits the deep fly ball to right field. It's 4-4 with Robert coming up with a chance to win it again. So I don't necessarily think that McLean did anything where you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this guy gave up 2 runs. Especially like we said earlier, Lau just had a great series. You got to tip your cap to the guy. He's off to a good start, with the Pirates. So I was fine with what I saw today from Nolan.
Let's get to that. Leaper sends Lindor in the 10th. Soto hits the double. That second and third, nobody out. I mean, you mentioned it. You had the fly ball with Polanco, not knowing what Bichette does in the situation, obviously, but you had second and third, nobody out. Bichette, Polanco, Robert coming up. You can't send them. You just can't. I understand they want to be aggressive. Lindor defended him.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. That's what Lindor's supposed to do. But for the love of God, can we not send him there?
Oh my God. I didn't think it was possible to be that angry for an opening weekend, third game of the season, after they had just won the first 2 as well. Like, if the Mets lost on Sunday 5-0 and the bats just weren't there, McLean didn't look that great, whatever, you take the series win. And I still do feel that way. They just have to continue to win series, no matter how you do it. But oh my God, the anger I had after seeing that. I understand that they want to be aggressive. That's like what Lindor said post-game, but it's got to be situational. I mean, you have second and third, nobody out in a 1-run game. You're telling me that you don't think that either Bichette or Polanco are going to get the job done? Like, I know that they just had that issue on Saturday, right? Because they had the bases loaded, nobody out in the bottom of the 10th, and all 3 guys couldn't come through and hit the ball in the air. But every day is different. You can't just you can't already not trust the guys to come through with runners in scoring position.
It was bad. It was really bad. And I don't know. Again, Lindor wants to go in that spot, so I get it. And especially if they've had conversations. You know what really sucks? Like Scott said this too, and it's a great point. They didn't deserve to win on Saturday. They did not deserve to win that game Saturday. This game kind of felt a little different. You're like, they're in it. They had come back a couple of times. They played better Sunday than they did Saturday. And the opposite kind of happens, where they lose the game Sunday, but they win the game Saturday. So, yeah, it was frustrating. It was frustrating all the way around. And it's a missed moment for Soto, too, who doesn't need it because he was great last year, and he's been good this year. So it's not like he needs to keep stacking these moments as Mets because he's a Met. He's here. He's good. But it was a missed moment to tie the game in the bottom of the 10th inning.
Yeah, I think that's just what made Sunday's loss that much more frustrating, is that it was so close to being a totally different game. And it stemmed down to 2 coaching decisions, both Mendoza putting Lovelady in and seeing Leaper send Lindor home. And it felt so much closer to the win than I feel like at all in all of the first 9 innings, at least on Saturday, did.
Yeah. How worried are you when the ball's hit to third base and then he's got to throw it over to Polanco at first? Does Polanco worry you at first at all?
I'm going in open-minded with this. I think you got to give them time to adjust. It's a new position. You can't expect them. You can't. What do you think? It's going to be Nolan Arenado and Keith Hernandez? Like,
no.
You gotta give him a chance to feel it out. I know they had some reps in spring training, but spring training is not even close to the same feel as when you're in a real live major league game in the regular season. So I'm not going to kill the guys defensively for, making mistakes just yet. Like I said earlier, if we're 3 weeks from now and it's still happening, maybe then we could have a conversation about it. But I think you got to take the growing pains and let it happen.
I'm just saying Saturday, I'm sitting there. Balls hit the shed how many times, especially early in that game. The ball, he was a ball magnet for crying out loud early in that game. And I'm sitting there holding my breath every time he's got to make that throw.
I've never been more concerned with like the ball getting hit to third base. Like I'm like, oh my God, here he goes. Like it's just like it's scary out there. As far as Polanco goes, I'm not too worried about him. I think a little bit of a learning curve, but I think he'll get it eventually. And then Bichette, I'm worried about. I'm not gonna lie, defensively.
I agree with you with Polanco. There was one ball on Saturday that was hit right to him, but sharply, and he's playing obviously closer to where he usually would be, even if it was at third or second, and the ball ate him up. And I don't remember if I don't think he actually made the play on this one, but that's the adjustment. It's the not only just the position, but where you're positioned as compared to the other spots you were playing. I do agree that Polanco will be fine though. Not too concerned. The New York Metropolitans, they go to St. Louis for 3, and then further out west, because they're going out west already. San Francisco for 4 over the weekend. We will be back Thursday. That episode will be out Thursday, recapping the Cardinals series, 3-game set in St. Louis, where I checked the weather. It's going to be hot in St. Louis.
Jealous.
Games. Yeah, jealous. And maybe the Bats will get going a little bit more out in St. Louis. Thank you so much for listening to episode 4. Again, new episode will be out Thursday morning, recapping the Cardinal series and getting ready for a series out west with the Giants for 4. Check us out on Twitter. Back to the Mets on Twitter. Obviously, all the BTO handles on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you're not already watching this on YouTube, and give us a like and a rating if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.